Chicago Dynasty Murder. Act 1, The Matriarch's Death. Mrs. Francis is awake in bed as Thelma brings her breakfast on a silver tray. She opens the curtains to allow the light to come in. Thelma notices that Mrs. Francis is pale and not responding in her normal manner.
Mrs. Francis, are you okay? Are you feeling well? You look really pale.
I do not know what happened. I was feeling okay earlier, but now I feel nauseous and dizzy. I think if you could help me get to the bathroom, I will be okay.
Thelma helps Mrs. Francis get out of bed, and then she falls back into her bed.
Mrs. Francis, are you okay?
Call my daughter. Tell her to come immediately.
She's sleeping, but I will get her right away.
Hurry. Now there isn't much time left for me.
Thelma knocks at the door to call to Mrs. Francis. She calls through the door loudly.
Donna, come quick. Your mother is ill and she needs you to come right away.
Okay, I'm coming now. Just go back to my mother. I'm right behind you.
Donna moves quickly to move some things in her room and look for her robe. She rushes out, leaving papers on the bed she had been reading. Donna rushes to her mother's room. She sees her mother lying on bed and she goes to pick her up.
Mother, are you okay? Let me help you.
Donna, I am having trouble breathing and I feel my heart pounding. I think I'm having a heart attack. In my top dresser drawer is the key to my safe. Be sure to take out the will and other papers that I entrusted to you. Quick, go there now. I don't trust anyone but you to protect us. I love you and know my time is ending. You must help the family in our business. Someone is trying to destroy our company. Officer Alberto knows I'm suspicious. Please, my dear daughter, don't let our family legacy die. It was always to be part of our family for generations. Someone wanted me to.
Thelma, call the ambulance and tell them no sirens or lights and to come immediately and pull into the back driveway to pick up my mother.
Yes, ma'am. I will do that now. Should I call your sister too?
No, don't call her. She's on her way to the house because you know that tomorrow was Mother's big birthday party. So many people will have to be notified.
I will take care of that. You just stay with your mom.
Mother, you cannot leave me. I love you. Please try to breathe. The ambulance and the medics are coming.
The house is quiet, but Donna's husband Edward was in the hallway, hearing every word that was said. He waits till Thelma leaves the room.
Donna, what happened? Is your mother alive? I'm so sorry this happened. The day before her birthday. How sad for all the family. She may survive. I hear the medics coming up the stairs.
Donna, the medics are here. Let them put your mom on the stretcher. She has to go to the hospital, but maybe they can revive her.
The medics pick up Mrs. Francis and check her heart and breathing, but it's too late. She's died. They heard her say something to Thelma, but no one else heard it but Thelma, and she keeps very quiet. Donna goes to her mother and hugs her one last time as the medics take her downstairs to the hospital where she is declared DOA.
Edward, this is horrible. What am I gonna do? My mother was my rock and now she's gone. I'm devastated and full of grief. How can we manage the company and our family with her gone?
Donna, your mother was so important to all of us. We will all get through this loss. We'll go on with our lives, even with her gone. You will see, we are a good family, and we will survive.
Thelma walks in to interrupt with this information. She's too sad to lose her trusted friend and employer of many years.
Donna, Officer Alberto is here to talk to the family. He just came from the coroner's office.
Donna and Edward go down to the parlor to meet with Officer Alberto, who's talking to Thelma when they enter the room.
Thelma, what are you telling Anthony? I don't want you to share anything about my mother right now.
Anthony, what did the coroner say to you?
Of Mrs. Francis, that looks like a heart attack. Sorry to share the sad news.
I'm telling you, this investigation is not necessary and it will cause untold harm to our family reputation. We can close this case right now. Are you hearing me, Anthony?
Officer Alberto knows Donna well, and he goes to give her a hug, but he hesitates, seeing her husband watching him. His heart is breaking as he sees her grief. Edward sees Emily Parker, the Chicago Tribune crime reporter, in the kitchen. As he goes towards the kitchen, in comes Alice Frances Howard, Donna's sister. She is in shock to hear of her mother's death. She runs to Donna to hug her, and they embrace each other in sorrow.
Donna, what happened? I just got a letter from Mother 2 days ago. She said she was doing well and was looking forward to her birthday party with our family.
Alice, Mother was in perfect health until this morning. She was gasping for breath. The doctors think it was a sudden heart attack.
How unbelievable for this to happen the day before her birthday. She was so excited that we would all be together for this event. She was living for the day.
Alice, when did you arrive in Chicago? Just now, or did you come last night and stay with your husband's family? I just have to check everything we're about before the the death.
The slip of tongue by Officer Alberto was no mistake. He is suspicious of this family and their intentions to take over the family legacy and business that is worth millions. In from the kitchen, she was talking to the maids, comes Emily Parker.
Was that a slip of the tongue, officer? Or do you really think that this was a murder?
Miss Parker, how did you get in? I wanted no press, and I made that clear at the hospital.
Not to worry, Edward. I only talked to the coroner, and he was brief, to say the least. I am here to find out the truth.
At Emily's words to the family, another person enters from the foyer into the parlor. Eugene Cloak Hunter, a Chicago private investigator that Edward contacted after Mrs. Francis was taken away by the medics. They all turn to look at him as another chapter of this day reveals more to come.
Yes, that's what we're here to discover, the truth, right?
End of Act 1. Act 2, the truth be told. It's been a week since the death of Mrs. Francis. Chicago is so sad at the death of this grand dame of Chicago. The family gathers in the parlor the day of the funeral. They are all dressed in black and are still in a state of shock and grief at the death of their mother. All together, they get into the limousine and head to the church for the funeral. As they enter the church, Cloak approaches Edward.
Edward, I know it's not my best time, but we had to talk about my discoveries. There's so much more that I imagine going on regard to the death of your mother-in-law. At the reception, after the funeral, we can speak near the garden, and I can tell you what I found.
What are you doing coming here today of all days? Can't you see we are grieving and trying to bury my mother? How dare you come to the funeral to question Edward? Edward, do not say another word to him. Come sit in the church with me.
Edward moves towards Donna, sharing her arm, as they move to sit in the front pew of the church. They all are seated as the casket is carried by the family members, including Edward, his sons John and Edward Jr. The priest officiates at the funeral mass, and then the eulogy is spoken by Father Salvatore DeSica.
Dear brothers and sisters, we are gathered here today to celebrate the life of Madeline Pierce Francis. As it was with her in life, her death was distinctive, passing on the day before her birthday. While many of you may feel that this day is beyond your grief, with things that you've said, or didn't say, or didn't do, or could have, it is better for the soul to smile at her amazing life She almost made it to her 80th birthday. A pinnacle in life that so few of us embrace. The Francis family had a grand celebration prepared for her, but as Madeline was wont to do, she changed her mind. That day, her heart of gold, which was well known, finally failed her. She died in the arms of her beloved Donna, in her own room, in her home. A home that was host to many grand captains of industry as well as presidents. She was always well respected for her generosity to the poor, a life she herself had once known, growing up as a little girl in the back of the yard neighborhood, and gave to many charities and schools with scholarships that bore her surname of Francis.
The church was quiet, but for the tears of the family. They all processed out of the church and went to the gravesite, where more tributes were paid to Mrs. Francis. Upon completion, the family was driven to the reception at the wonderful Drake Hotel on Michigan Avenue, where many gathered for more celebrations and accolades. That was good preparation for the days to come, when the theories of her death started to circulate in the newspaper. Thanks to the work of Emily Parker, who already had started to seek answers on her own. Days after the funeral investigation, it's still swirling questions for everyone by Officer Alberto. He's back in the house questioning everyone, meeting with the family members during a lunch for the family.
I invited Maria to come and speak to us about what is happening at the company, since it was closed for a day in honor of Mother. We need her input on the future of the company and how we can work out her estate declarations.
Why did you invite her here? I do not want to talk about business now. I'm not able to focus on anything but Mother's death.
Donna, Maria is only going to give a brief report, and we need to know how to help her.
Entering the foyer, Maria Ortega comes into the dining room with her briefcase.
Thank you for inviting me to come today. I know how difficult this is for you to discuss business, but it is important information to share with all of you present. Please be seated, and I have documents for you all to read. It is a statement from your mother to me. Your mother sent me to the Northern Trust Bank to achieve your father's plan about the company. If you read it carefully, you will see that your mother made some changes to your father's plan about the company.
What are you talking about? What changes?
Let her finish, Donna. We all need to hear this.
Yes, we do. I'm most curious what Mother changed.
I think these documents are important to hear. Maybe they get to discover if her death was a health hazard issue.
A few years ago, before your father died, he asked me to investigate some unusual shipping deals that were going on and how the inventory has gone missing each month from the records. After some help from Maria, we found out that someone was signing the shipping orders for places that were not recorded in the ledgers. Thousands of dollars of hot dogs were shipped to places of unknown funds and miscalculated for years. Maria brought this attention to Edward. He spent many years trying to connect the missing links. Aha, that was a joke. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. And they found him.
Just, what the hell are you saying, Cloak, or whatever your name is?
Maria, please read the report that was uncovered. We need all the facts for the family to see.
Yes, we do. I'm appalled that this theft was going on right under Mother's nose. She trusted all of you to be honest and not cheat anyone.
Officer Alberto, can you tell us what you found out after the funeral for Mrs. Francis? I saw that you were talking with officers and that they were handing documents to you.
That can wait. Let's proceed with what Maria has to say to us. Donna, you should not be afraid. You need to know that the truth of what's happening to your mother has suspicions that need to be uncovered.
Anthony, what are you implying? Nobody but my family ever was involved in the financial dealings of our company. Mother always protected that with her integrity and reputation.
If you allow me, I will explain with as much truth as I know.
Here goes that word again. Truth. Does anyone in this family really believe in truth, or they're so caught up in lies and deception that they don't even recognize it anymore?
Emily Parker sneaks into the foyer. She is not seen by anyone. She's writing down all the conversations for her story. Maria stands at the table and begins to read the words of the documents.
After Edward discovered what he and I found in the records, we asked Cloak to come help us. We knew that Cloak was always trusted by your father. When we saw that the bank records had been altered without our knowledge, we asked the bank to give your mother the evidence so that she could read them for herself. She was stunned to see that her husband had been sending money for years to someone she never knew. When we followed up on the reports, she saw that your father had been having an affair with a woman in New York that he met on a business trip many years ago. It seems that they had a secret relationship together, and your father traveled to New York not just for business, but to meet his lover. Your mother was so overwhelmed to know this truth that she confronted him, and he denied it at first. Then he told her the truth.
I never imagined that your mother's anger and revenge would reach the levels it did, Donna. She was so angry at your father that she asked Cloak to find someone to kill him. I never knew the truth, but Cloak did. He can tell us what happened.
Don and Alice, both at the time, they both shout,
No!
This is
You're lying!
Who would
I
ever
don't
do that? My
believe you.
mother
Mother could never do
that.
this.
No.
Yes, she could. And in fact, she just did. Your mother knew I was down and out, but your father trusted me for many years. She told me to investigate this woman, and I told her. She never wanted me to speak her name. She was so angry and hurt, but I never would imagine I would do such a thing for her. I told her I will never arrange a murder. Never. Not to a man that trusted me when everyone else hated me in Chicago.
You must believe what Cloak is saying. This is what we discovered, but we did not have all the evidence to accuse your mother. We found out from Cloak's investigation that not only did she kill your father, she hid the evidence for years. When your dad died at the company one day, some employees saw your mother coming from his office and she had been arguing with him. After she left, they wanted to check on your dad. He was laying in a pool of blood, dead. Your mother came back and saw them. She told them not to speak of her being there and paid them lots of money to remain silent.
This is all your plot to destroy my mother. You hated me and my mother, admit it! My father only gave you a job because you were Mexican and a single mother. He never trusted you. Maybe you are covering up your own crime of murdering my father and trying to blame my mother. You hated my mother because she was kind to you and your family. You knew you could forge documents and make it look like my mother did it.
Anna, you're wrong about Maria. She always respected your mother, but she was suspicious of the funds, and eventually she found out about your dad's affair. She never realized the extent of how he sent that woman money from the company. No one would believe us. We couldn't believe it ourselves. I tried to cover it up too. I didn't want you to be hurt by your mother killing your father.
Police must have access to all of these documents about the money and Maria's statement about your father. It's no longer a family secret. It's police evidence.
That's all the evidence you need. I mean, the evidence is that not all. You need evidence of how Mrs. Francis died. It was not an accident. The murder was a cover-up, not by this family, but by another person who knew your father very well. That person just happens to be in this room.
Everyone is shocked and looks around. They all start to question. Who?
What? Why? Why would somebody kill
Who killed our mother?
Oh, not mother.
Cloak begins to tell the story he uncovered in his investigation.
Yes, you know the truth about your father now, and today I will try to piece together the story as if it were a puzzle. Your mother found out that your father had a lover for many years at that point, and he even invited that woman to come to Chicago. He set her up an apartment where they could meet. No one knew who she was I remember at your dad's funeral, a woman who I never saw so much was crying oh so very much. I figured she must have been a relative. I didn't know. But I approached her, but she wore a black veil. I could not see her face. I did notice a mark on her. Some sort of tattoo or something. I took a mental picture in my mind because it was very unusual. In fact, I've never seen one like it ever. Not until I came after your mother's death. Then I saw it again. It was plain as day.
He walks around the room and approaches someone.
The tattoo is a heart, a flower of red. Unusual, but not for this person. I will ask you all to raise your hands and place them on the table in front of me.
Each person at the table, one at a time, pulls up their hand for all to see, except for one person who hesitates.
Thelma, where's your hand, please? Can we please see your hand? Just as I remember. The heart tattoo that's so perfectly etched on your hand. What does that mean, I might ask?
It meant 25 years with the love of my life, Joseph Francis. He and I met in New York when I was young, and I had just lost my mother to an illness. I was in church praying and crying, and your father, Joseph, kneeled beside me and asked why I was crying. I told him about my mother's death and how alone I felt. He was so kind. He offered to buy me a cup of coffee. Just coffee and comforting words. He was there at the lowest point of my life. It brought me back from the end of my life to a new beginning. He offered me a job at his New York office, and from then on, whenever he came to New York, we spent time together. I never meant to fall in love with him. He was so kind and generous to me. We never thought it would go beyond friendship. It just happened and we were lovers for 5 years. He finally asked me to come to Chicago and live there so we could see each other secretly, but more often.
Peter, what happened to that affair with Joseph Francis? Thelma.
He died suddenly at his office. Everyone said it was an accident at the plant, but I was suspicious. One of his workers lived in my apartment building, and after the funeral, he told me that he was murdered by his wife, but I never told the police.
Why don't you come forward with these facts? We could have investigated the death as a homicide. I never believed the facts surrounding his death. He was a great man, and I really admired him. He was like a father to me. Also, I was devastated when he died. I was just a beat-up cop then, but I never gave up hope that someday I could find out the truth.
She never came forward with the facts, but she did come forward with the revenge. She heard that the Francis family was looking for a caretaker after the husband died. She had a phony resume, and they were so impressed by her sincerity that they hired her due to a reference from another company.
She came to me for a job interview after the funeral, but we had no openings. But she seemed so honest and seemed to really care about the Francis family. I should have expected more.
Maria, you told me she was trustworthy and you had her checked background. She also had worked in the New York office, so we all thought she must have known Dad. She knew so much about Mother. Too much, it seems.
Yes, enough to gain the trust of our family, especially Mother. She loved you, Thelma.
I hated your mother. She killed my Joseph. He stopped loving her because she only cared about success, money, charity, and her reputation. Your father needed my love and your mother took him from me. She never met me, but she heard about me. She didn't connect my name with your father. She just never wanted to know the truth about why your father loved me and not her.
So you gained interest with the family, and that allowed you to take care of their mother, right? And eventually, you got your revenge.
Emily comes into the room.
Cloak, I knew you were always an honest detective, and the police department will read this story in my newspaper. This is a story I was born to write, and I will make sure you get the credit.
What Cloak is saying is true. Before Mother died, she told me, She suspected Thelma was trying to poison her. She said her tea was tasting funny that morning. She also told me there were papers in her safe and I should get them. I forgot about them till this morning. This is what Mother wrote to me.
If anything happens to me or if I die soon, I need you to know the truth. For many years, your father was having an affair with a woman in New York. I found out when I checked our bank ledgers and questioned funds transferred to an unknown account issued to a Jane Doe. That was her name, Jane Doe, the lying, cheating, husband, thief who stole your father from me. He destroyed our marriage of 45 years and spent the money and time with the woman in New York that I never want to know exists. She took my husband, but I cheated her too. I took your father away in the only way I could. I killed him in a fit of rage because he told me he was leaving me for her. I could not imagine my life alone without your father. Please forgive me for taking your father from you and your sister. I never planned to do that. It haunted me for the rest of my life. A life I tried to dedicate to helping others because of my guilt over your father's death. Please, know that I am suspicious of Thelma because she has said things to me about. I think she is the woman your father had an affair with, and I think she hates me enough to poison me. I am not sure because I have been struggling with my memories lately. So I am not sure what is true. The only thing is that I want you and your sister to keep the memory of your father as you knew him. Not as the unfaithful husband who made terrible mistakes and failures that led to horrible consequences. Please share my letter with Anthony, who is a trusted friend of the family. Let him bring to her justice for my death. She stole your father and she stole my life, but she must be brought to justice. Please tell Anthony that I know she did this to me. Don't let her steal your legacy and mine. I think your father put her into the will if I die. Never let that happen. She deserves nothing.
Alice and Donna embrace in tears as they hear and then face Officer Anthony Alberto.
Anthony, please provide justice for my mother. I wish this nightmare never happened. When I finally read Mother's letter today, I wanted to tear it up, but I knew I could not deny this. No matter the pain and suffering our family would experience, justice must be done.
Cloak, congratulations on your good investigation work. You've proved to me in Chicago that you are a worthy detective, and that you search for the truth, who is who you really are. Your past does not define you anymore. I'm going to recommend you to our sergeant for reassignment to Chicago Police Command.
Emily Parker enters from the foyer where she has witnessed this untold story of the Francis family.
Officer Alberto, I would like to write the true story that must be told. Chicago needs to know the facts, and they will be grateful how justice is served, even in families with great wealth and power. If the family will let me, I will tell the story in a way that will not destroy the descendants of the Francis family. It will redeem them for wanting the public to know the truth, as painful and real as it is.
In all my life, I know that truth was hard to uncover, and many will take to do whatever it is to deny it. I know that this family is good, and like every family, is capable of corruption and crime. I dedicated my life to the facts, and has destroyed my career as a policeman. I swear one day, my reputation will be restored. Thank you, Edward, for allowing me to work. I am what I know I'm meant to do. I found evil in a place I believed to be good, but out of that evil, I found the truth. And that is always good.